it's Jeannie and Cindy again.
Hey, Cindy. Look at my beautiful mug. It's like a Yeti, but it's slimmer. My friend Jack Bodolowski,
Uh-huh.
former Army medic, his wife is a veterinarian,
Uh-huh.
and they have a foundation called Companion Coffee, and a portion of all of the proceeds, and they've also got wines and they've got real estate stuff, but a portion of their profits goes to provide pet insurance for service animals for veterans.
Oh, no kidding.
No, it's Warrior Companion. And so anyhow, he sent me this great cup.
Isn't that great?
It
Oh,
is.
that's nice. Well, today we are going to be talking about the victim drama
Mm.
because it's a very, very powerful drama for controlling people. And I learned about this in the Celestine Prophecy. And there's actually 4 controlling dramas. There's the bully that we know, the person who bullies.
Mhm.
The victim is another controlling drama.
Mhm.
And the bully and the victim, of course, go together. How many times have you seen the bully turn into the victim?
Oh,
And
yeah.
it happens it happens in our court system all the time. Well, of course he killed all those people or raped all these people or did what he did. Look what happened to him when he was 5 years old.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Okay.
And that goes back to judgment and discernment that we talked about in another one of our coffee chats.
The other 2 controlling dramas are the aloof, which is I'm not speaking to you. And they go in their room and they slam the door because they're dying for you to knock on the door and say, "Are you okay?" Right? That's their control. And then the other one is the interrogator, which is my favorite to use myself because it's he who asks the question is in control of the conversation. So how many times has somebody asked you a question you didn't want to answer? So how do you do that? You ask them a question back.
Mm-hmm. You answer a question with a question.
Like,
mm-hmm.
Why is that important to you? Or why did you ask me that?
Mm-hmm.
Because, and there's so those are the different controlling dramas. But today I want to talk about the victim controlling drama that we can fall into so easily, especially those of us who have big hearts and feel good when we fix somebody, right? And so, for instance, I had a spiritual group when I lived in Tennessee. Just a bunch of us would meet every Tuesday and have holistic conversation. And I would play tapes by Wayne Dyer, Course in Miracles, different things like this. And then we would talk about what we just listened to. There was this one gal who would come every Tuesday, and she told us that she had cancer in her brain. And so we were praying for her, and we would say, "How are you doing?" and all this stuff. Well, months went by, and months went by. But she'd always talk about having this cancer in her brain. Years went by. And at one point, I realized, I don't think she has cancer in her brain. I think what she's doing is she likes the attention. So what happens a lot of times, and I think you and I talked about this not too long ago, people who, for instance, will move in with you because they're on hard times, right? And then you can't get rid of them, because they're on hard times. And you took them in to help them out, but then now it's kind of invading your space, and then they keep going back in. They don't want to be fixed, Jeannie. They don't want to be fixed because they have learned that being the victim gives them all these perks. So what happens? They move out finally, find someone else that'll take them in, and you never hear from them again.
No.
I'm speaking about a specific thing that I just heard about. And so you have to be very careful. How many times have you had a friend who has a problem, and a year later they're sharing the same dialogue? You've given them advice, you've suggested this, you've done that. Somebody close to me, I recommended that they go to AA. They went one meeting and said, I'm not like these people.
So now, speaking of that, I had a neighbor at my condo in Dallas, and a lovely couple. He was not this way, but the wife was a very enthusiastic alcoholic
Mhm.
and nice person and always nice to me, but she'd come out on the balconies. We had adjoining balconies, and at like 7 o'clock in the morning, you could smell alcohol on her. Okay.
From the
Okay.
balcony? Yeah.
So anyhow, she ended up with pancreatitis, and when they put her in Baylor, and Baylor tried to get her to go into a program and, for Alcoholics Anonymous. And she denied vehemently that she was an alcoholic. Now, this was brilliant. Her husband told me about this. And they said to her, okay, so what is your definition of an alcoholic?
Ah, okay.
No, she never did go. And it's not up to me. I can barely fix my own self. Okay. Even if I want to do something, I want to learn Spanish or I want to lose 10 pounds or something. It's hard. Okay. So what makes me think I can change somebody else? But, anyhow, my husband, who is a much kinder person than I am, really, I was talking about this person and I just went, I can't believe and da da da. And he just looked at me. He said, you know what, Janie? That would be a terrible way to live. That never occurred to me
Mhm.
that it would be an awful way to get up out of bed looking for your first drink.
Mhm. Mhm.
It gave me a great deal of compassion.
Oh yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. And that's what happens with the victims. They look for people who have compassion, but you have to be careful. And I'm not saying that bad things don't happen to people and they need help.
Yeah, yeah.
What I'm saying is there are people out there that really don't want to be fixed.
Uh-uh.
That they have the story of maybe abuse, so whatever their backstory is, and instead of changing that story, they use that story as an excuse for bad behavior. And that happens a lot with alcoholics too. Well, I drink because.
Mhm.
Right? Well, then go and fix the because. And so
And it's like,
I have great, great, great admiration for the AA program because two of my cousins went to that program. One of them had spent like, I think, 8 or 10 years in jail and finally went there. Both of them have horrific stories of their past, but he said, I'm not going to do this anymore.
mm-mm.
And he helped a lot of people. My other cousin, he had a horrific story of his past, and he was a sponsor for people for 50 years before he passed away.
So that's moving out of that victim mentality. And that is a controlling drama. And now my neighbor, she never acted like the victim, just so you know. She was very enthusiastic about it, and she never asked for help. So that did not apply to her. But when we were talking about letting anything, Cindy, control your life,
Yes.
you
Yes.
know, is
And
your
using the blame game to do it. I'm
yeah,
this way because I'm this way because. And so expecting forgiveness, expecting help, expecting whatever. And instead of really understanding your own strength and understanding that the words that come out of our mouths, that the story that we tell of ourselves becomes our reality.
It does.
and it stays our reality, and it's our story, and and so many people stick to that story. So on another note, when I was playing, I was playing happy hours all the time, right? And I would get a heckler, right? And they need attention. Somebody just being very rude from the audience, giving me a bad time. And I would ask them questions. I would say, so would you like to get up here and do what I do? Or I would say, don't mess with anyone with the mic, right? And but because the other thing that happens is there's what I call the silent majority, which that beautiful saying in Texas, which says, I don't have a dog in it, right? So you have to understand that when people come to you in a victim, it's important to give them advice, give them love, give them a hug. That's very, very important. Problem happens is when they hold on to that problem, and months later, you've given them advice, you've tried it, So I actually started doing this. I'm going to tell you one time what I feel you should do to change that, just once.
If they ask.
Yes.
Only if they ask.
Yes. So give them advice, give them a friend, give them a referral, give them whatever, but then you're done. You did it.
So one thing I have learned, and I learned it the hard way because that's my favorite way up until now. Excuse me. I'm dealing with allergies, excuse me. But anyhow, people would come to me and the same story, and especially if it's someone you love, a relative.
Absolutely.
Whatever, and I mean, I'm just over it. And so I would tell them, okay, I know that you've told me this ad nauseum. So give me some new information.
Right.
Yeah. And they revert back to their old story. No. I heard it the first 30 times that you told me. Give me some new information. And what happens is it isn't necessarily, Cindy, that they're going to give me new information, but they're going to stop coming to me with their old story.
Right. Well, I actually started going to Al-Anon.
I'm telling you, it's powerful.
I love Al-Anon because I was every time somebody came to me with a problem, I wanted to fix them. And I found myself losing sleep and making their problem my responsibility for the solution. I've had people who have done this to me. And the last time this happened, I woke up. I did something that wasn't normal. I finally got in her face and said, listen, it's this way because it's of the choices you make, right? And it was over. She went to something else.
Well, the most powerful thing is for us to change our own stories.
Yes.
I lived through my story for years about, breaking my back twice and this and that, and my family, whatever. And it's old and tired. And the problem is, as you said earlier, words are very powerful and they create what we talk about. And especially if we have emotion in them. So I kept creating this and keeping it alive over and over again. So the first step is to stop telling your story, I'm not going to tell that story. But the other part of it is you have to craft a new story because nature abhors a vacuum. So you have to make up a new story, which is what you want it to be. And it doesn't matter if it's absolutely that way right now. It's just that, I feel so good today, even though your back's hurting. Okay, I'm not going to talk about my back. Well, when I started doing that, my back stopped hurting for real. And, so we are so powerful. And I stopped being a victim. Mm-hmm. And, one of the things that we learned too, I offer the money game, which is a 30-day money game. It's actually free. I do invite people to support my work if they want to, but they can go through it for free. Mm-hmm. And people carry around stories about money. My family never had anything. That guy, he was born with a golden, plate in front of him and a silver spoon in his mouth, and I didn't have that, and that's why I don't have anything. It's like, you don't have anything because you didn't change your story. That's it. And one of my favorite small verses in the Bible is, you have not because you ask not.
So I think it's safe to say that when somebody comes to you with a problem and keeps repeating and repeating and repeating the same problem, you can't fix that. They need to fix that. You can love them, you can hug them, you can support them, but they need to find the strength within themselves that they have. Otherwise, it's giving somebody who can walk a wheelchair.
Well, you bring up something really important as we're wrapping this up, Cindy. What are our continual stories that we always trot out? And we do, we wait and we trot them out. And, one thing that I have noticed is that when we have a continual story, we also have a posture and a demeanor.
Right.
We lean in, we watch someone for a cue that I can jump in here and tell my story, or, our shoulders slump and, whatever. Pay attention.
Right.
What are the stories that we're telling over and over again? Because you can actually fix that, but you can't.
I actually did that one time. I was spewing off about an ex-husband to somebody and going, what do you expect? They did this and they did that and they did this. I went, ew.
That's nasty.
Ew. I went, listen to me. I sound like a victim. Ew, 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 ew. Yeah. So catch yourself when you're whining about stuff that happened to you, and that's why you do what you do. Okay. Catch yourself there. Change your story. Don't be the victim. And don't be, if somebody loves you and is giving you advice, listen to them, because it's very difficult for those of us that have big hearts and care to take on your problems, because guess what? We all have something going on, right? So,
yeah. Well, I love you. I love our conversations. Everyone go, please subscribe to our channel. Please share, send this to your friends. Look up for us on Facebook, which is BNOW, the Beautiful Network of Women. Go to our website, which is beautifulnetworkofwomen.com. Stay in touch with us. We'd love to hear from you.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Yeah, we do. We love it.
All right.
Thank you. Love you. Mwah.
Love you back.